we've asked representatives from UCU, again, they refuse. So please be aware we've tried our best to get WSO into as best as possible, but it's tough, and I'm not sure it's feasible for. I respect the fact you're here tonight, and you've come and you made your point, which is really admirable. But there are certain people who are very happy to criticise academic freedom movement, but not really engage. Anyway, do you want to start?
I think the first question, as a vice chancellor, do I use the power I have? Well, to a degree, of course, that's what one does. But I think being in a deliberate, my presence here is deliberate because I am trying to make a change. But I think that change has to start from within universities. I employ a fair amount of colleagues who are well known for their views on academic freedom, and so one of the things I do as a vice chancellor typically is when there is a controversial debate that I will be the one who chairs it or be present, to be seen, to be promoted and actively. And in a way, my authority as vice chancellor adds to, I think, those events and allows me to go forward. And it's quite interesting that debate we had with the security guard. These people are there to help us and support us and actually exercise our freedoms, and that is for all of us. So, and I think maybe, I won't answer all three questions. Or do you want me to?
No.
So, on one thing, it's quite interesting. So often, academic freedom and freedom of speech, of course, are not the same. Academic freedom is effectively an employability right extension to academics to not be able to be discriminated, not being promoted because of their views. It is very much a right to employability. In Reading, the university, when it was founded, when it got its royal charter in 1926, academic freedom was allocated to all members of the university. So it is not just for the academics, it is also for the professional staff, including security guards, the same rights, because they are part of the system that should defend academic freedom. And there's no point saying an academic can have an academic freedom, but a technician can't. So, do I use my authority? I absolutely do, but I hope I use it in the right way.
I thought all three of them were actually very good questions. Regulation is the exercise of power, and when you call for regulation, you're handing over decisions that would previously have been made within institutions to government. That's why I'm uncomfortable with it, frankly. The thing about universities is that no one ever makes decisions. Right? I mean this in a slightly ironic way. Right? When there's a bad decision made, no one made it. You can never pin it down. Decisions emanate. They come down through the ether. So when you ask someone, who the hell made that decision? Oh, it came, so in a school like this, it came from the university, as if the university is something else. And ultimately, that is the problem we're facing. So when you ask what's the main thing that could be done, well, two main things. I've been away from Wales for a long time, so I'm not qualified to say anything specific to Wales, but there's two things. We need some kind of kick up the backside to academic democracy, so that academics make decisions which they've been happy to shy away from. Right? So things that we kind of brand as admin and we shuffle off into some black box for someone else to decide are often things that academics should be deciding. Like, how do you judge which courses are succeeding and which are failing? Right? The criteria that we use to measure what we do, boring bloody things, right? And we just leave those things up to people who call themselves managers to do. And the other thing we need to do is to improve employment security. Because without employment security, there is no academic freedom. So you can sack someone whose views are unpopular, or is a thorn in the side, or comes out with things that you don't particularly want to hear, or your sponsors don't want to hear, or the embassy doesn't want to hear. And academics can be sacked that easily. There can be no academic freedom. So that's where you start. Not one, it can't be done in Wales, but it can be done in Westminster.
Super. To the person at the front, thank you very much for coming to engage with me. I really appreciate it. I think it raised really important points about who has power in a given situation, and whether working, for instance, as a government administrator, as I did for a few years, the extent to which that is wielding power, the extent to which being a lecturer is wielding power, to the extent to which being a security guard, for instance, in a room is having a sense of power over the rest of us. I think it raised really important questions. In terms of the one thing too that we could do to make things better, personally I think the Higher Education Freedom of Speech Act in full is incredibly important for protecting academic freedom generally and our students, absolutely. And lobbying for that, because I think at the moment a lot of the Secretary of State thinks that she's already got her arm twisted to do the bit that she's going to do, and she needs it twisting harder to do all of the act. I'm unsure about whether universities should be mandated to be impartial. I wonder, for instance, about those that might have religious foundations, for instance, whether they should be forced to be impartial or not. That would be a lovely one to chat about. I'd like to talk it through. I mean, I personally think that they should be impartial, but that's a different question to whether I think the state should mandate it.
Yeah, yes, and then it is a very interesting question. I think I did a talk in King's College and said earlier the London equivalent of this group, and there was a strong sense of the need for university to be neutral in order to allow academics to express their opinion. And I think
you're deeply concerned about freedom of speech and expression, yet you're hosting a conference at an institution that suspends and pursues protesting students in the court. How do you reconcile that? Let me tell you, this is not academic freedom. This is a forum of the ruling class. I don't respect your tones. I do not respect your tones. You are. Let me tell you where real democracy is. It's in the streets. It's in the streets. I do not respect this institution whatsoever. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!